whether they were the worshippers of sun in Egypt or in other parts of the world, or in Greece or in Italy or wherever they were. The common feature about them was that they were overawed by the existence of sun and its various moods. And they wanted to please that God, being afraid of it. But they did not know how to please it. The result was that they invented their own teachings in the name of an imaginary God. And because they were man-made teachings without guidance from heaven, those teachings were automatically defective. And those teachings were oriented towards revenge against their enemies. And those teachings were always parochial. With the result that wherever you find sun worship, you always find such teachings are extremely harmful for the mankind, for the social system of mankind. They are not only unjust, at times they become very cruel as well. For instance, in the name of sun worship, virgins have been slaughtered at the altar of sun gods. And human life has been sacrificed. Sometimes large number of human beings have been slaughtered and destroyed in the name of pleasing that sun, that God, imaginary God. And to be on the right side of that God, according to them, was to have a license to destroy all those who were on the wrong side of that God. And not only this, they also began to see some contradictions in nature. Some gods who appear to be glorious to them certain times were overshadowed by some other powers of nature who seem to overpower these glorious gods. For instance, when clouds were raised by winds, the sun disappeared, and the rain of the clouds seemed to rule supreme, and they seem to be to have gained upper hand over the sun god. So they studied the phenomenon, and some attributed it to the oceans, and said the ocean gods are perhaps stronger than the sun god. So they started worshipping ocean gods. And again the same dilemma. What do the ocean gods require from them? How can they be ocean gods? Because they did not know, they could not know, the ocean gods were just imagination of their own imagination, and they could not lead them to any path, any guidance. So they imagine things. And those who imagine things about how to please such imaginary gods were called oracles. And a lot of thought was spun around these imaginative gods. Because this is a fact of life that no such god can ever respond. No such imaginary god can ever direct the people. So when you seek guidance from these gods, you have to go to certain people who claim that they come into contact with these people, with these gods. So priesthood was created, which was entirely false. Totally consciously false priesthood, which attributed things to their imaginary gods and conveyed those things, passed them on to the ignorant people. So all the misery of those ages, and which was a lot of misery, I did show you. If you read your history, you will be surprised how much cruelty was committed in the name of God, how much ignorance was taught in the name of these imaginary gods by fraudulent priests and how they became a hierarchy in themselves, how they created their own empires over these ignorant people, and how strong they grew in the name of just falsehood, and what intrigues were played with the great empires and how their downfall was brought about, and all the miseries attendant upon falsehood were created along with these imaginary gods as a consequence of these imaginary gods. So it is not just a question of jealousy on the part of Allah. It is looking at it in a very in a very superficial way at the whole problem. The fact is that idol worship is not just something which is left at somebody worshipping somebody and that's all.